All right. Sorry about that, Chris. Well, actually, I don't care about you. Sorry to all the people. Yeah, everybody works on my time. Yeah. I called the local sheriff's department to come and VIN verify. They started verifying VINs again on cars. They didn't do it for several years during COVID. So, I buy cars all the time. I got to go down there and register the cars and try to butter up the ladies there, you know. I even tried to buy her lunch. She wouldn't. She's like, I can't accept that. I said, I'm telling you, I'm good. Look at all the cars. And so I had to have her go through, and we went through all, I tried to clean up my record a little bit on all the cars, hand her a bunch of plates. She's like, you're supposed to turn these in right away. I said, yeah, I know, but I do this all the time. She said, well, we need to get the VIN verified. I said, well, the car's not really on the road yet. And then what am I supposed to do? It's not registered. So how are you supposed to drive it here? She's like, yeah, that's kind of a stupid rule. So anyway, you just have an officer come. And so what you're technically supposed to do is come with the other owner with their plate, and you're supposed to both come to the tag office and then transfer it. I'm not gonna. I bought it from a different state. So anyway, I had the officer come, and he's from Harrisburg, and he was talking about, there's this YouTube guy we knew, Mike, and then Troy Sowers. We'd be giving him tickets all the time, so we were talking about YouTube and stuff. So it's important to make buddies with your local law enforcement, especially if you're a car guy, maybe can keep you out of trouble.
Yeah, to your credit, you were here actually 8 minutes early.
Yeah, I was ready. I was ready to go.
We should have just started then. But.
I'm kind of in a funk here. I don't know what to do with my life. I'm in kind of in between major projects, sitting there staring at the computer, looking at the amount of sales that we're not doing, figuring out if we're going to go bankrupt or not. I'm going to start selling. You guys got to start buying some stuff so I can stay in business here. Do we have was it a dry ice machine canceled yesterday? Mm-hmm. Okay, well that's not really money we had anyway. So I was like, how do we have a negative $25,000 sale? I'm like, dear Lord.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, the problem with the dry ice machines is that they're having a hard time with parts and pieces, and they're jerking us around. So some people are. I'm sure that they get to keep their place in line, but some people are saying, I think I might wait, which is understandable. We're sitting on there 25 G's.
It's a lot of money. Let's see. Sweet Spot 909 wants to know, hey, are there any videos from the new owner of the GT3 RS of him taking delivery or driving it around? I love that car.
No. I tend to leave the people alone. Not everybody wants all that attention. So, but no, he sent me some pictures. I posted on Instagram of it, arriving. But we'll see. He'll let me know if he needs anything.
Toto says, hope everyone is well. Have you thought about transitioning to solely rinseless wash since your cars are so well protected and maintained?
Definitely not. I don't want to be cleaning fender wells and wheels and brakes, and carbon ceramic is something you need to blow out with the pressurized water with a pressure washer. I don't think it's a great alternative. I prefer to wash the car. It gets way cleaner. You get water in the jams and all that stuff. To me, it just takes twice as long if you're going to do a similar cleaning, and it's a messier job if you're doing a rinseless cleaning. And I know I said, I'll put my rinseless up to your blah blah blah. I said, well, good luck. You'll be 4 hours in, and I'm done an hour later. And you got 3 hours to go to get your car as close as clean as mine is. So I like the traditional washing process. I think it's a superior method, and I find it rather enjoyable. I don't like rinseless washing at all. It's too dirty.
All right, I have a question from Euro Garage. There's lots of acronyms here. Happy Friday. Matt, I'm looking to add a sedan to complement my M2 competition. I'm debating between an EAG E90 M3 6MT no nav versus a G80 M3 6M buckets and CCBs. Which one would you get? What are some pros and cons?
Well, the G80 is hideous. The E90 is... See, I just wouldn't be buying an E90 to drive around all the time. I'd be buying it if I wanted to have it and collect it. You're going to be spending a lot of money to put a lot of miles on something like that. So if you're going to be putting a lot of miles on, I'd buy the new car and just deal with the ugly looks of it. It's going to be a much better driving experience in general. It's going to be more comfortable. It has a lot more modern stuff in there. And carbon ceramics will make it easier to maintain and keep it clean. So I think that that would be my choice if you're going to be daily driving it per se and driving around a lot. If I'm buying an E90, I'm buying that as like my second, third, fourth car that I just want to have one of those and drive it occasionally. I think once you start to get back to say 2013 and prior, I just don't love the idea of daily driving cars like that, unless they're Japanese. Like if you get something like a Civic or something older, those can do great. If you're at that level of looking for that level of a car. But like older 911s, older GT like touring sedan cars, like M3s and stuff like that, I don't think you're gonna want to be driving around all the time just because we're so used to new modern stuff. So my choice would be the G80.
All right, our buddy Dan up in Minnesota says, "Good afternoon, happy Friday. Thanks for the fast shipping this week. My order should be arriving any minute." So Dan's still buying from us. That's good. Let's see. Placed the order 251 on Monday. It shipped out first thing Tuesday, and it's out for delivery today. So
nice.
It's pretty good. Yokinny R says, "I did CSL and EXO this spring and Deluxe on the wheels.
Mm-hmm.
When should I be looking to reapply EXO and Deluxe? 2 years for EXO, 1 year for Deluxe? Just a ballpark. And any process there or just reapply?"
Well, I mean, it depends on how much you're driving the car and what the conditions are. Is it sitting outside all day? Is it getting rained on all the time? I would guess you're probably a year and a half, and it'll start to get kind of crunchy. If it was daily driven and you're driving like 20,000 miles a year, I would do it in a year. So I'd do it the same time next year. And I don't think you'll just be topping with EXO. I think you'll probably be polishing, like finish polishing, try to remove both. It just depends. Depends on like my cars that are sitting in the garage all day and are getting driven 2,000 miles a year. I'm not going to need to do it every year. Maybe every 3. But I would guess you're going to assess it in a year. If the paint doesn't feel all crunchy and stuff, then you could add another layer of EXO. But if you start to feel all kinds of contamination, I'm not a big advocate of claying or deconning it and adding another layer. I'd want a full decon and full at least a single step polish on it, which won't really do much to remove. It won't remove a whole heck of a lot of paint. You could do that 50 times, and so that would be my typical recommendation.
Living Life says, "I need my fix of OG podcasts, especially since there wasn't a video yesterday. I get it though, and he and a couple other people have asked about how the 5-prong approach is going. How are you doing? What's the latest?"
Well, I'm doing great. My body is not lost a freaking single pound. So, so for those who aren't familiar, I don't know what's going on with my throat here. 5-prong approach. Buy the Evo, right? Get a car that
What is the end goal here, though? I think we need to preface.
The end goal is to be able to drive wherever I want to drive.
Okay.
Drive in the mountains. Drive to the gym. Drive to the grocery store. Be like a normal functioning human. Drive to Ryan's football game. Drop the kids off at school someday. That's the goal.
All right.
So
Step 1.
Buy the Evo. Wasn't the Evo, but buy a beater. Get a beater car, a car that I don't care that much about.
Okay.
Second was get healthy. So lose 20, 30 pounds, 40 pounds. Okay. Focus on fitness, working out a lot. And so that's the next step. Step 3 was to add in supplementation, fix sleep, cold plunge, all those kind of therapeutic things, right? Mm-hmm. So I ordered the cold plunge, should be here in a month or so. Started taking Andrew Huberman's supplementation cycle, gone to a carnivore-based diet. I guess 2 and 3 kind of connect to one another pretty. They're pretty much the same thing. Step 4, I forget what the other steps are.
Working out.
That was part of. So maybe those 2 steps were like 3, 4, 5, something like that. Yeah. So that's the plan, was to get super healthy. I've been saying all these years I'd do anything to be able to drive, But the one thing I haven't done is really focus on the the health aspect of things. It's not that I'm unhealthy, but I'm too chubby and not fit as fit as I'm used to being. And so I'm really hammering down on that. And so I've made the transition to a carnivore-based diet. And what's happened is I started taking creatine as one of the part of the supplement protocol. And of course, creatine, you retain more water, you put on some weight. Creatine for me generally adds about 10 pounds. So I started at like 245. I got down to like 235. Started taking creatine. I'm at 240. I was at 239, 240 for the last 2 weeks, and I'm freaking killing myself. So last week I took my first day. In like the last 30 days, I've been working out 7 days a week. Now, Saturday and Sundays are more of a just recovery. Thursday's usually a pretty heavy cardio day, so it's not like I'm killing myself. I'm not overtraining. But Saturday, Sunday, I'm either riding or rucking. And so this week I took Wednesday off. And so I ate some frickin' tacos to try to get out of ketosis and a few Pop-Tarts, and then back on Thursday. Right. So then that was Tuesday. I ate some tacos and some Pop-Tarts. Wednesday back on the program, back on full carnivore, and then took Wednesday off on the on working out. Back to the gym on Thursday. Riding tomorrow. I'll do some sort of ruck on Sunday. Back to 7 days a week of doing something. Was because what will happen a lot of times, you miss Friday, and then you're like, you don't show up on the weekend, so you don't do anything. So if you miss a Friday workout, that turns into 3 days out of the week you're not doing anything. So I've been trying to just get up and move and do some stuff, and then hopefully the weight will start to fall off, and then the end goal would be to not be taking any happy pills either. So that would be great. So if you go in the Facebook group and search supplements, you'll see I posted my regimen. I talked about it on the Inside the Hex video yesterday. That should be up today, or tomorrow. But I'm working on it. I feel pretty good about it. I've been able to drive back and forth to the garage, and I've been looking to want to drive, go out and do it and not force myself to do it, and that hasn't happened yet. So that's the story of my life. Imagine having the cars that I have and not being not driving them. It's unbelievable. It's like the worst curse you could give someone. I'm convinced that, if I were able, the last 3 years or so, I've been pretty focused, and we built the business pretty substantially. And I've really focused in on, we built a leadership team. We've done a lot of work here to build the infrastructure to take this thing to the next level. So if I was running around all over the place, I'm convinced that I wouldn't have been as focused. So I feel like it's kind of meant to be. At least that's the positive. I'm trying to be positive. That was one of the other part of the 5-prong approach, was to stop being so darn negative about it. So that's the story.
There you go.
But I'm doing great. I'm sweating right now, so that means hopefully I'm burning some fat.
Let's see. Fingers crossed they announced the Helen open house date. So I think we kind of talked about that before, right?
Yeah, I'm going to be up there on the 28th. I got to figure
September.
it out. Yeah, so it'll be sometime that first week of October. So I got to nail that down. It'd probably be that Saturday. Let's see. The 28th is Thursday. So it'd probably do it on the 30th would be what I think I'll probably do.
September 30th, Saturday.
That's the tentative plan. And it'll just be an open house, and like a soft open. I'm not going to advertise it a lot. I just talk about it in some videos and say, hey, maybe make an Instagram post or something if you want to come check out the house. I'll have my calendar there. We can book you a week if you want to book it right then and there. Maybe we'll have some sort of promo rate or something like that. We just got our frickin' electric bill. It's $1,200 this month. God dang it. It was the peak last year peak last year I think it was like $580 or $600. I don't know what's going on. I'm sure that the rates have gone up, but something's not right. I got to figure it out. $1,200 for electric bill. That's crazy.
Tim wants to know. He says, Maddie made a comment recently about possibly removing his list of cabinets. I missed the backstory as to why.
So here's what's happened, and this has been the catalyst for this decision. I'm a lifelong, most of my adult life, say probably since 2000, I would guess 2004 is when I found out about Lista and Moduline. I don't know, just searching garage forums and stuff. I got my first house in 2005, right? My first house in Claremont. And so, started searching for stuff, and I was on Garage Journal a lot, back when forums were kind of the thing. And so Griot's Garage was representing, and they had these red cabinets in Richard's, crazy garage that he had. Although I didn't like the style of it, of, the red and all of that, I'm like, man, whatever those cabinets are, they look awesome. Crazy expensive, but they look great. And so then when I started to, look at the possibility of getting a house, I'm like, I'd love to get cabinets someday. And I knew I wouldn't be able to get cabinets right away. But I really had no idea that, a decent array at the time was like $25,000. And now, I'm buying a $280,000 house. So to buy a $25,000 array of cabinets, that wasn't really in the cards. So I'd gotten a Craftsman toolbox. You guys that have been around a long time saw the Craftsman box with eventually got the Craftsman workbench. And then I got some Geneva cabinets that I put and flanked the TV. And of course we had all the Griot's Garage shelves. But what I wasn't interested in doing, I wasn't interested in Husky or Gladiator or New Age, or I wasn't interested in the knockoff cheap junk. I know lots of you guys do it. I don't know how you stomach that. But there was on Garage Journal there were like 2 posts of a couple guys that got some cabinets that really intrigued me, which were the Sabre stuff. So this is my second house. So we sold the house in Claremont, rented the house for a little while in Harbor Hills. Then I bought the Brown house. So the first house I started making YouTube videos on, and I'd gotten some quotes from Lista and from Moduline, and they were $20,000 plus. I just couldn't. I couldn't get an M3 or a 911 and that. It was either or. And so I was looking for a nice alternative, and that's, of course, when I discovered Sabre. So I ordered a sample Sabre cabinet, and then built that array. I think at the time, that Sabre array that I had like a 20-foot countertop, similar style of what I do now. Maybe it's like an 18-foot countertop with the 2 cabinets flanking. They're the silver Sabre stuff, and it was probably like $5,000 landed to me, for a really large array of cabinetry. And it was like 80-90% of the way there to Lista and Moduline. But I'd always thought someday I'm going to get Lista. And so when we started the company, when I started actually thinking I'm going to start retailing stuff, I'm like, someday I'm going to do Lista. And it was one of my first things when we launched the Krensla package, and then car washing package, microfiber package. My plan was to be able to offer Sabre cabinets, which I did pretty quickly. The Sabre stuff, I only got a 10% margin on it, though. So it was kind of... And then we saw, of course, we've seen the prices rise substantially because of import duties, taxes, the container shipments cost a fortune more, the rising price of steel and raw materials. And then, of course, we had many, many issues with lead times over the years. And then the guy who owned it, wanted to sell it to me, but I was like 60% of the sales, and I was going to have to pay a multiple on my own sales. I just couldn't do it. I didn't have the capital at the time. I didn't have the warehouse to put it in. We didn't have the ability to ship it. So I just made a relationship with the current company that bought it from them. They're based in the D.C., Arlington, Virginia area up there, where they bought the cabinet line because they're doing it's kind of like the garage living, where they're building garages, not our type of garages, epoxy floors and cheap retrofit lights and stuff like that. So Lista was always part of the plan, and I started to tackle Lista pretty early on, maybe like a year into the business, and came to the realization this is just too complex. Like, this is before we had any design, before we had a whole team of people creating products. It just wasn't going to happen. It's too much to tackle. And so then fast forward to today, we spent the better part of the last 18 months or so building out the Lista line. And getting to the point to where we could narrow the catalog down enough, using it, modeling it off of all the arrays that we've built over the years, and went to them and tried very diligently to figure out a way to build out the sort of a semi-modular line of cabinets within this custom catalog. But the cool part about Lista is that we could do whatever color we want. We could do whatever size we want. We can do whatever type of drawers we want. There's all kinds of cool drawer organization. They have the 440-pound capacity Austrian glides. And, and so we spent a lot of time doing that, but we kept beating our head against the wall, trying to figure out, like, why is this so difficult? They won't create SKUs for us. There's like a 7-step process to order, but we thought that there's no way it can be this difficult forever. We just need to, sell some cabinets. So we went forward with it, ordered my cabinet array, which took probably 26, 28 weeks, something like that to get. And we ordered our countertops and all that stuff for it as well. And I got the cabinets, and 2 of them were damaged, which created a bit of a problem. Luckily, it only took them about 6 weeks to get us the replacements, but I didn't want to wait. We put them together. And my first problem, which isn't the world's worst thing, all we do is change our ordering process, was there was quite a bit of tolerance in the cabinets. They're not supposed to have that. Meaning each cabinet had somewhere between a 16th and an 1/8 inch of tolerance, plus or minus. And so when we put my countertop is 22 feet or 21 and change feet. Normally, what we could do with a Sabre cabinet or a Sonic cabinet, we were able to just order the countertops based on the CAD drawing, and it's perfect. Within a 16th or an 1/8 of an inch. Well, the list array was so off; it was 3/4 of an inch. But I'm still like, all we do is just change our process. Get our customers, in my case, let's just order the countertops after the fact. It doesn't take that long for Blue Tree to make it. That way customer can put it together, they can measure it, and then we can get an exact fit, countertop. No big deal. The other thing that was kind of holding me up is they didn't really have a great idea or a great design for like a light rail in the uppers. We'd figured that out, so that was cool. That was a good solve. And I knew when I ordered my cabinet array, this is why I do it. Ordered it for me, 1, because I wanted it my whole life, and 2, we can figure out things like the locks are kind of weird. Another disappointing thing was they no longer make like brushed handles. They only make plastic handles, which I didn't love. They just stopped making the other. And so, not a big deal. And we had, but we had some issues with ordering some customers' cabinets as well. The time takes forever. It takes darn near, a quarter of a year to get some cabinets, maybe half a year in some cases, to get cabinets ordered. But we're still struggling with the ordering process. So I wanted to order this Listabox so I could do this thing with Sonic and Snap-on and Lista. And so I, called, emailed my rep or text messaged my rep. Hey, I want to do this. What's the process? Talk to Kyle. What's the process? And Kyle, he still doesn't really know the process. Every single one is like pulling teeth to try to get the darn thing ordered. So I ordered my toolbox 2.5 months ago in early May, or so I thought. And so then I followed up, about a month and a half ago. Still wasn't ordered. Followed up, last week, and still wasn't ordered. And I just said, I'm done. I'm not doing this. I called and talked to the national sales manager, and said, look, what am I supposed to do? Why can't I order a cabinet? Why can't we? You mean to tell me that Grainger, when they order a cabinet from you, that they have to go through this like 9-step process? And the problem is we can't. There's no portal. Like you're emailing somebody, and then you have to trust. They send you the PO back, but you can't just say go. You can't just sign off on the PO. I still don't know how to order the darn thing. So my toolbox probably still isn't ordered. And so after my conversation with the national sales manager, I said, look, I can't. First of all, I told them about the tolerance issue. He's like, there's no way. I'm like, I'm freaking telling you. I'm telling you, come look. And he's like, I've never heard of that before. Now, again, I'm fighting for us consumers. They're selling to industry, right? And so a consumer has a different expectation than industry would. But I just, the fit and finish was nice, was good, tolerable, not nearly as nice as the Sonic stuff. And so I'm ripping the darn stuff out of my garage, and I feel kind of stupid about this. I should have done the back end research. From what I understand, Lista I know that Lista and Vidmar were two, I believe, competing brands that I think they merged like maybe 10 years ago, something like that. But they were two like separate entities inside of one company. Stanley Black & Decker bought them, or maybe Stanley Black & Decker bought both. I'm not sure. But from what I understand, the behind the scenes, most of the Lista people were kind of let go in favor of the Vidmar people. And so I think the Vidmar people are kind of running the show. And they have no technology. They've struggled with labor, which is understandable, and they're probably getting bean counted to death from a big Stanley Black & Decker as an organization. And so I didn't know any of that stuff. We didn't know it until now, as we're trying to order, and we just can't figure out. Like we've never had any problems like this with any other company, and we have probably 500 different vendors. And we're going to be buying, $6, $8, $10 million worth of cabinets. Like, we can't have this. I can't be waiting, 26 weeks for cabinets and to have them show up and be out of tolerance. It's just, I was buying the Lista that I thought I was buying, which was, and I feel like an idiot for not knowing this, but I've fallen on the sword. Luckily, the 5 or 6 customers that have bought the stuff have all gotten like good cabinets that were, well done. We all waited for them. So I actually got on the phone and called every customer who bought anything Lista. Said, "Hey, look, here's what I'm thinking of doing. I don't want you to think that I feel worse about this than anybody, because I'm going to rip out the cabinets that I just spent however much money putting in. I'll sell them. Somebody will still buy them. And the reason I'm going to rip them out, I'm not ripping them out because they're junk. I'm ripping them out because, I like to practice what I preach. I like to share and show. I used to do this in wealth management as well. I would invest in the same things that I'm recommending my clients invest in. Made it a bit problematic in that sometimes if I ever sold anything, I'd have to make sure to do it at the right time and stuff like that, or after them. After clients. But we're going to make a transition to Rousseau, and it's amazing. I feel like such an idiot. I should have done this in the beginning. So Rousseau is a Canadian manufacturer of cabinets. Shares a lot of similarities with Lista. Part of the reason why I didn't do Rousseau was, one, my long-term love affair with Lista. Secondly, I was under the assumption every Rousseau cabinet I'd ever touched has the goofy latching system, which I don't like, where you flip up the handle. Mm-hmm. I come to find out they're not. That's an option. Like, you don't have to have that. Rousseau, I thought, used the same Austrian glides that Lista does. They don't. They look similar, but Rousseau actually designed and engineered these in like the 70s, so their drawer glides are a little better. And here's the magic. Their ordering platform, they're going to do whatever we need to do. They're going to create SKUs for us. We're going to have custom cabinet set up. Our guys are already set up for training, which we could never get done with Lista. So the entire staff is being overview trained, and then we're getting deep dive training done on the set up for the design folks and myself as well. I'm going to work with their marketing team to get a Rousseau box. I'm still hopefully going to get my Lista box. And I'm going to, swap out my cabinets for Rousseau and maybe do something custom colored or something like that. I love the white. I'm inclined to want to get white again, but maybe I'll do something different, just so we can, share with people the ideas. So that's the story. That's the behind the scenes. I was hoping we could fix this. And by the way, this is like at least the 15th conversation where we've had them come and visit. Like, guys, we're trying our best to, we want to build this out. We want to make this available to everybody. We're going to be your conduit to your consumer base. And it's not stealing from your current dealers, because they're generally selling to NASA and industry and manufacturers and stuff like that. So we're going to be your conduit to this. Just all we need to do is just be able to order this stuff, and we can't freaking do it. And then the tolerance was bothering me, but if I could order it and we could figure out a way around it, I still love the cabinets. And so that's the story. The other advantage of Rousseau, my long-term plan, was to do Rousseau in Canada and Lista in the U.S., which doesn't make a lot of logistical sense. But now Rousseau also is beautiful for us because they're manufactured in Canada, and so we'll be able to support Canadians as well on the design side much, much quicker. My intent would be to likely carry Rousseau, and maybe Haley in Canadian markets, but now I'm going to carry Rousseau, theoretically worldwide. So that's the story.
Let's see. Enthusiast says, "Hey Matt, I have a 2020 M2 Comp F87. I watched the CCB install in the M2 CS, and it has me considering the upgrade. Brake dust is unbearable.
Mm-hmm.
Is it worth the 12K upgrade, or trade the car in for a CS with CCB?"
No, I think it's a pretty simple upgrade. You'll probably have to you'll lose more on the delta of trying to trade cars. It'd be easier to just buy the brakes and do the thing. Make sure you got to get it coded, and you do have to change the booster as well. And you will have to do some adjustment to the pedal. So it's not just swapping the rotors and calipers. You have to do some extra work to make it happen. But it's not too difficult.
Zelo Super Chat, $10 US. "Hey Matty, any updates on the new Brake Buster and new drying aid that you were playing with? Would love to see a wash and talk on the Brewster. Hope the 5-prong plan is working out well for you."
So I ordered a couple gallons of the version 2 of drying aid to see. The biggest thing, for those of you who didn't watch the video, I need to do it on the PPF cars. What I find is that on my PPF cars, if I even blink, if I even go near the car with a finger, I can almost get a fingerprint from 3 inches away. Car looks fantastic, water, beads off it great, but I feel like if you ever touch the car, which you shouldn't be touching it, but if you do touch it, it almost has like a, I don't want to say slime, because you can't really feel it, but if it's like humid out and your hands are kind of sweaty and you touch it, it leaves a really pronounced fingerprint mark. We noticed it a lot on the RS. Everybody's fingering the darn car, touching the thing all the time for some reason. And so I'm thinking, now I did the E36, which doesn't have PPF on it. I'm thinking that it's one of two things. Either the PPF kind of lends itself to that, and the PPF has a top coat, and then we're putting all these layers of stuff on it. But I do notice that my E36 would get fingerprinted up as well, and I think that the version 2 doesn't seem to be getting fingerprinted as easily. And I also want to talk to Chris and the engineers or the chemists there and say, well, what is the difference? What's going on here? Is it and then I need to play with it for a while and see does it still look as good? I got to get more. I'm going to ask Dave Phillips if he'll send me a gallon, because I need more time with the lower pH stuff. I think it's pretty good, but I'm not sure yet. I need to play with it more.
Guy B32 says, "If someone is road tripping and wants to bring OG items to wash, bottles, wash mitts, polishes, etc., while away from their home, is there a recommended travel bag that works for detailing products?"
I usually use the buckets. At some point, we want to make. We met the guys at Vita Bags. We would like to make one, and then have. If we get into bottling, then I'll certainly, we would want to do like the smaller, like travel size. But generally, when I'm traveling, I take my rinseless bucket. I take waffle weave towels for glass. I take pluffles for water rinseless washing. I take N914. I'm going to take my glass cleaner, so invisible glass. And then I'm going to take a couple of large of what I call the bulk drying towel, as well as several of the orange and the small drying towel. So that's generally what I would bring. And with N914, you can clean the interior, you can clean the glass, you can do anything. So you could probably even leave the glass cleaner. But I like to bring the glass cleaner because oftentimes I would just clean the windshield, wipe the wiper blades, clean the windshield, which you can do anytime. And then use your rinseless process. You have your rinseless bucket, and I throw it all in the bucket, screw the top on it, and that's how I generally travel.
Sweet Jazz says, "Hello from California. I applied Deluxe and Gliss to my new wheels. I drive 20,000 miles a year. Mm-hmm. When should I apply another coat of Gliss?"
Yeah, I mean, depending on how heavy it is, you'd want to, iron remove it, periodically, depending on how, much your pads dust. And then, I mean, probably in a year. But again, you want to feel it. This is where it gets dicey in that, usually wheel coatings will kind of dissipate, and you'd hope that you can put it back on. And usually you can. But I don't have a lot of experience with that because I don't put the kind of mileage on, and so usually I'm getting new wheels. So I can't tell you the last time I recoated a wheel. it's always coating for the first and only time.
Have you ever recoated a wheel?
I think I probably have. I'm trying to think.
Maybe a Raptor?
No, the when I was using CSL XO, so I definitely have recoated wheels. The E92, the giveaway one, was certainly recoated. So yeah, because the problem is you can't just polish it really easily. But generally, the coating will dissipate, do a good decon to it, and then you can usually reapply.
Let's see. Kyle and then Henry was asking earlier about any updates on the door pull keychains or some of the water bottles. Ordered one in the RS giveaway. Haven't seen it just yet. We're waiting on both of those items. Stuff's coming in. We got the belts and wallets in yesterday. So they're coming in every day. Email support. They can give you a more exact date. Epiphany Detailing says, I saw a random Facebook ad for what looked like a shorter bristle curveball for use on tires. Is there anything like that in the works?
Not that I know of. You better send me one frickin' first, since it was my idea.
Let's see.
Cleaning the tire, or applying the tire dressing with that thing. Yeah, and I don't know.
All right, let's see. Is Will in here, the one that won the giveaway car? Fleet wants to know. I don't think so. I don't think he's watching. Any plans for an updated warehouse tour? Or the other business that your dad runs? I feel like I haven't seen them in a video for a while on YouTube or Inside the Hex. These videos are my favorite.
Yeah, it's about time for that. I got everything pretty clean looking. I was thinking about that the other day. I need to do a house tour update and do also probably do. That's a good idea. Maybe I'll do that next week.
Thanks, Epiphany Detailing. Super chat, $10 US from Addison Jordan. Hey, Matt, I want to polish my 2022 F350. Can you tell me exactly what I should buy in the polish section to get the job done? I just want to get 90% of the defects out and ceramic coat the beast.
So I would do, I mean, it probably needs to clarify budget-wise, but if it's me, if you want to do it the way I would do it,
yeah.
You're going to want a Milwaukee 15 millimeter orbit polisher. You're going to want a, kind of torn on this, you're really going to want the Makita. You can't get them. They're like no
Mirka?
Or Mirka, sorry, not Makita. The Mirka 3-inch. And then you're going to want the long neck Nano. But we'll sort of ignore the polisher because that's a huge expense. But you're going to want 3M precision tape. So you're going to tape the thing off. You're going to want a gallon of CarPro eraser and a Press-All bottle, right? So that you can clean up the surface prior and after polishing. I would do, like, if you're just caring about 90%, you're not trying to get it exactly perfect, I would buy Jescar Correction Compound, Rupes yellow microfiber pads, so the yellow version, which is kind of the middle of the road, and I would buy Rupes yellow foam pads. So you're going to want the 5-inch, which is a 6-inch face, but you want 5-inch pads on both microfiber and foam, and then you would want the associated 3-inch and I think that big vehicle, you're going to want 6 of each at least. So, I mean, if you're struggling, you can always buy more. You can buy more of them. So we got Jescar Correction Compound, Sonex Perfect Finish, yellow microfiber Rupes pad, 6 of those, 6 of the yellow foam pads, 5-inch. Then you could probably get away with 4 3-inch and 4 3-inch if you have a 3-inch polisher. And then 1-inch pad, same thing. You'd want yellow, and you would want the Lake Country 1-inch, 1-inch pads. If you don't have that machine, then you don't need that. We have the 3M precision tape, CarPro eraser. You want the Rupes claw tool, so you can agitate your pads and spread. And then I would buy the high pile, polish removal towels. You're going to want probably 10 or 12 of those. And of course, you're going to want to coat it afterwards, and so that's where you'd want, on that truck, you'd probably need like 8 to 10 towels. You want the CarPro suede applicators, probably a CarPro block as well, and CSL XO. And if you're going to do the wheels, you do Armor wheel coating.
All right, we've made it to the portion of the chat here where people were debating about where you were and why it was 220. So Philippe wants to know, was the Snap-on guy at OG? He was, actually, but that's not why you were late.
Yeah, no.
And then someone else said, Matt must still be in the Snap-on truck filling out the credit app.
Yeah, no credit today. I didn't get the credit bonus because I just had to pay for it. It was $1,500. I'm almost done. The toolbox comes on Monday. And then I guess I can tell you, as I said on Instagram, September 1st through September 30th, we're going to run a raffle. First place gets to choose which box they want, but I'm going to I'll make several videos over the course of the month. When you go in the store, we'll have a pop-up. It'll be a digital entry only raffle for the Sonic box fully loaded with all Sonic tools versus Snap-on box fully loaded with tool grid and Snap-on tools. So I got to grid out the box and organize it. And so first place gets to pick which one they want, and second place, picks the other. So the Snap-on box, I think,
nice.
loaded will be about $55,000, something like that is what I have into it. The Sonic will be around, let's see, 58, around 30. The Sonic will have more tools, a more complete set, but it will be less money.
Let's see. Someone else thought Adam LZ was here with his Porsche. Maybe that's where you were. You were hanging out with him. No. Yoshi said he's at Grid Life in Atlanta. This podcast is operating on Italian time, was the suggestion. Is Matt alive? Is he sleeping? I guess the 2 p.m. start time is just a suggestion. That's good.
Yeah.
Yep. Snap on. Get a haircut, Matt?
No. I'll do that tomorrow.
Yeah. Matt's forehead is sweaty. You must have been doing some work.
Yeah.
That's funny. Did Matt get any new tools from the Snap-on truck? Frankie wants to know. Yeah. So what did you get today?
Bunch of junk
for $1,500.
Yeah, bunch of garbage. Like a normal traditional claw hammer. I got 1/4-inch deep well SAE set, which of course I had to wipe down. I got the straight double box, long reach double box end set, which was probably $350. You got some more junk screwdrivers like Torx and Posi-Drive stuff. This is freaking terrible.
Let's see. Kyle Smith says, if you need a major project, do a revamp, cleaning, and organization of Freddy's garage.
I was just thinking about it. It's funny. I was like, you know what I should do? I was watching this P1 video. I should go down there and I say, you got a week with me. And I'm going to bag, tag, reorganize, and structure this entire garage. I'm going to need the whole team. We'll do a whole video series on it. You get Obsessed Matt for a week. And let's rent a dumpster, because we're going to probably need to throw a bunch of stuff away.
A very large dumpster.
And then let's get it all organized. Maybe I'll call him and say, hey, I've got an idea.
Yeah. Patrick says, hey, Obsessed Garage, what is your opinion of Ivan's method of finishing with a rotary minimum speed setting waffle pad? Looks very interesting. I'll be trying it on my new lease in D2.
Yeah, I mean, remember Ivan comes from production, right? So Ivan's always takes things from a time and from a professional perspective. He owned a high volume in Montreal, I think, in Quebec somewhere. So he owned a high volume. Him and his wife, they owned that for many decades, and so they tend to approach like things like a clay and wax, where you would do it in a single step using a spray wax and a clay towel, so you can get things done quickly. So Ivan's always been a spray-on polish and a pad washer guy, so he's a large reason behind it was a large contributing factor of the Optimum system. And so his system is generally low pressure, no pressure, low speed, and finish with a rotary. And so I spent quite a bit of time with him, and went through his polishing system. Now, generally, Ivan's not going for 100%. He's going for some lower percentage of, hey, what can I get by doing? What kind of result can I get to remove the least amount of paint, have the most safety, most efficient, quickest way possible? And so his methodology has been to make things efficient, make things quick, make things accurate. Whereas I'm willing to go that extra 10, 12, 15%. And to get that extra 10, 12, 15%, you could certainly do it with a rotary, but you're not going to be low speed, couple of passes, no pressure kind of thing. You're going to need to manipulate depending on the paint condition. So, Ivan's always a lot of times teaching, simpler, people that aren't as sophisticated oftentimes as well. And so he's generally going to say, this is a method that works. You're going to get remarkable improvement, and it does work. Low speed, no pressure, and you're going to get like almost a good percentage of the result with less risk and quicker. So I but that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for pain and suffering, and take as long as possible and get as good of a result as I possibly can. So one of the things that I probably don't sell enough is that my talent is not detailing, right? I'm not a talented detailer. Like, I'm not a gifted, polisher. I'm not a gifted wet sander or paint correction specialist. My talent is aggregating information and then distilling it down and sharing it in a digestible format. That's my skill set. That's my talent. And so I've been everywhere, and have spent time with most of the, I haven't been everywhere in the world, but everywhere in the U.S. it seems. So I spent time with a lot of these guys, and my one of the few skills that I have is the ability. I'm not very impressionable, right? And so when I go, what tends to happen is if you were bounced around like I have and gone and trained with Jason Rose and Todd Cooperrider and Ivan LaCroix and the guys from McGuire's and the guys from P&S and the Greg Company guys, and then also spent time with many other pros, Jason Kilmer, Andy Ward, on the wet sanding and of course seeing other videos and stuff like that from people. I'm not very easily influenced or very impressionable. I'm very disagreeable in that form. But I really like to watch, and Mike Phillips, another one I spent quite a bit of time with, and I like to see how they do things. And then I like to try to put that all together and aggregate into a system that I think is the best of all. Jason Rose spent tons of time with Jason Rose and Dylan. And so that time spent has escalated the process, escalated the speed at which you can become an expert, the speed at which you can learn. And so that also helps. But the tricky part is not getting sucked into a single system when you're being trained, and every one of them is pretty adamant about their way of doing things. So, for whatever that's worth, I don't like the low pressure, low speed system because I'm looking for a little bit better result.
Let's see. We have a couple people who asked Rated GP, and then Dan asked, when will Griots be in the store? I talked to Tommy. Monday is the plan, I think, for the Griot stuff to go live in the store, along with a video probably. Anthony says, my girlfriend overheard the intro and is very, all caps, curious about how Matt butters up the ladies at the DMV.
So you go in.
Palming them hundos.
Right. Yep, you go in. And I generally be pretty self-deprecating. Look, I'm going to be your worst customer today. I apologize. I've got a lot going on. I'm sorry. I love cars. I have a lot of them, and I'm in here often. So I just want to prepare you. And then I say, would it be all right? Could I buy your lunch today? And I get my wallet out and I slide a hundo, and they never take it. But I said, please let me buy your lunch today. And that's generally how I kind of get them on my side, and they laugh, and then we're in it.
Your friends.
Yeah. Like, for instance, the lady was like, I don't like that your Porsche registration says that it's a SUV, a sport utility. We need to change this. I need to fix that for us. Yeah, I like that. That's a good job. Thanks for watching out for me on that, because it's definitely not an SUV. And I show her a picture of it. See, this is my life's pursuit, man. I love this thing. I've been chasing this thing my whole life. Oh yeah, that's real nice. My daughter-in-law has a one of those Porsche SUVs. Oh yeah, I like those. I lie to her. So a little bit of lying, a little bit of that kind of thing.
Good stuff. Oh man, Rafi wants to know. Hi from Arizona. I have a black car, and the dust here drives me nuts. I'll wash the car, and 3 days later, it's covered in dust.
Mm-hmm.
What's a safe way to manage this besides just washing every 3 days?
Yeah, I mean, if Florida's issue is the bugs, right? Bugs and Florida funk, so we don't have the dust you have, but we have, like, as soon as you drive outside, it's freaking dirty. I think you have to resist the temptation to wipe it down and just deal with the fact that half the week it's going to be dirty. And so you just rewash it. The other thing you could consider is, adopting, rinseless methodology where you spray a pre-rinse like N914 and have a bucket there always. And you could always do a sort of a rinseless wipe down, midweek if you wanted to. That's what, we would consider adopting.
Hefe says 997.2 C2S versus 991.1 C2S for a fun weekend car in my first Porsche.
Yeah, definitely a 991. I think that's a significant upgrade. The 997 has some it's going to have some melty stuff and some creaky stuff. It's a great car. It's a little bit smaller, but I would much rather. I think you'd enjoy a 991.1 much more.
Let's see. Mitch _drive talks about the meet last weekend. How did that go? The E90X.
Oh, it's great.
Meet, yeah.
We had a lot of people here. I mean, probably maybe 100 or so. It was great. It's hot, but yeah, it turned out really, really well.
This is my friend Julie checking in. Chris, glad to see Matt is no longer gone. That's a Dave Matthews reference for you with your absence there. Greetings from the UK, says Scott. I'm looking into doing a dual Crensley setup.
Okay.
My question is, would 2 K10s making 20 liters a minute be too much flow, or would I better be doing 2 making 14 liters a minute? Would that be sufficient?
Yeah, you get to a point where so it's not really going to make that much. You're kind of in a place where, because you guys have more power coming out of the outlet than we do, at 220 volt, 240 volts or whatever. So you have more available headroom for an electric motor. I think you're going to be above comfort limit. You're going to be pressurizing that line. You're going to be standing up, having to hold on to the darn gun with two hands. So I think you'd want to do, like HD7s, stacked at the max. And even then, you're probably going to be somewhere around 5 gallons a minute, and it's going to be right on the edge. If even 1,000 PSI, 5 gallons a minute, you're probably going to need like an 8.5 or 9.0 size orifice. And like one of the issues with too much is the management of the kickback from a big, nasty, pressure washing system. So there is a point, I think, where we get too much. We actually just tested the dual AR setup, which did work. The dual AR setup did 4.39 gallons per minute versus the 4.18 on the Crenslers. So it's interesting because the Crenslers get about 1.9 by one at a time. For one pressure washer, the AR gets about 2.3. So it's about 0.4 more, but yet when you put the two together, there's diminishing returns there. The ARs don't sound very pleasant. 2 of them are pretty loud. So I don't know that I'd recommend. I certainly wouldn't recommend it over the Crensley. And we did find out the active 2.0s at this point doesn't work. The pressure switches can't handle, they can't maintain. So when you pull the trigger, they'll both turn on, but then only one turns off, and it runs kind of weird. There's too much. There's probably water getting pushed back into your house because the check valves, from when we can tell, the check valves just aren't robust enough to handle it. So we're buying an external check valve to see if maybe that could work. We couldn't get them both to come on at the same time either, and so we weren't able to get a measurement of the active 2.0s. And I surmise this, that the cheaper pressure washers, you wouldn't be able to stack them. But we need to confirm this and try a couple of Karchers to see how that would handle it.
Let's see. Perry Ocean Auto Design says, "Hey Matt, what audio acoustics would you plan out in a 2-car garage?"
you're going to have a difficult time with, first and second reflection point calculations. So you're probably just going to want to do a bunch of stuff on the ceiling and the front wall. Your garage door should be somewhat insulated or something like that. You shouldn't have to mess with that. But you'd want to do the cloud-based brackets I use the GIK Acoustic Cloud. It's like a little L-shaped bracket that brings the acoustic treatments down off of the ceiling. In a large area like that, you need some pretty significant absorption. So you're going to need 3, 4, 5-inch thick panels. Those little goofy ones they sort of glue the wall aren't doing squat for you. And so you would want to do a bunch on the ceiling and a bunch on the front wall, and then whatever you could get on the side walls. And that'll help take the slap echo out of the room. It won't necessarily be best for the 2-channel imaging, but that's not what we're looking for. We're looking to take some of the echo out, take some of the resonance out, and the bass flying around all over the place.
Jeff Kazmarski answered your call to place orders. He said, I just placed an order for $388. Man.
Nice.
We have to support the zebra cake consumption.
No zebra cakes.
Let's see. What do you get? You got Reset, Pearl, a Cox hand crank hose reel, and a garden hose.
Nice.
Oh,
nice.
Thanks, Jeff. Super cool. Let's see here. This is for Sunny across the pond there. Sorry I'm jumping on late. Any update when the giveaway knives are shipping out? I don't have an update for you, Sunny, now. Email support at Obsessed Garage.
I'm using that darn... So I have a Chris Reeve, a Benchmade, and that Gerber. It's like in my drawer right there, sitting right next to each other. I'm telling you, every time I go, I'm not even thinking about it, and I just noticed this. Every time I go to like unbox something or open up, I grab that darn Gerber. Part of it is that Chris Reeve is like $600, and it's like too nice to use at times. But the Benchmade I just don't like it ever. And so, and then for opening boxes, that darn Gerber is pretty sick. I'm surprised. I was a little torn about us doing that, but it's worth the wait, I think.
And you are someone who opens a lot of boxes.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see. Scott Taylor says, congratulations on reaching 400,000 subscribers.
Thanks.
Been watching since the WRX Detail series. Keep up the good work and keep changing the world.
Yeah, so I think, we might see, some pretty decent numbers here to be, I think, more appropriate with our reach, hopefully. And so when I do that MLZ project, hopefully we'll gain another couple 100,000. We could be, flirting with that, 600,000, 700,000, 800,000 range would be really cool. I don't know what that means, but it would be cool.
Shane Joseph wants to know, are you scared about hair loss with creatine? Just kidding.
No.
Have you thought about TRT?
No.
This is my name. Clever. Any update on the Nepros tools?
No, I became a Koken dealer and talked to them, so I'm going to be ordering some Koken stuff here. They're sending me like a little sample kit, and then I'm going to try to get on the phone to Stallville, so I'm interested in that. I do want to order the rest of the combination wrenches from KTC, from Nepros. I'd like to do that, and I think that we got a long way to go, but at first, the Hazette stuff was a disappointment. The more time I've spent with it, the more I've started to enjoy it. So, I got some work to do.
Super chat here from Daniel Capizano, $4.99. Love the videos, Matt. Question regarding Huberman's supplementation. How did you determine which supplements to choose? There are quite a few.
So I'm doing all of them, as you might imagine. So I'd actually built a 13 to 16 week plan to get on them, because one of the things you want to do is you don't want to like take a bunch of things and then something's not working, something's causing problems, something's making you freak out or making your hair fall out or something. Something has a side effect that you're not looking for. And so I started with I separated it into 3 categories. Or he does this too, but I separated into the nighttime, like the sleeping aid stuff. Then I separated into like the hormonal, like what you would take in the morning, and then the cognitive. And I've taken a couple of the cognitives out and put it in like the hormonal category, because the cognitive ones I don't think are going to work for me, so I'm kind of holding off on taking those 2. It's what is it, like alpha GPC, and I forget what the second one is, that could be anxiety inducing, and I want to try to avoid that. So the first thing I'm taking it at night is, I just showed this on Inside the Hex, but I'm taking L-carnitine, magnesium, threonate, theanine, which I thought was going to be because Andrew was saying he doesn't like theanine. It makes him dream weird. I think it makes me sleep like a baby. Apigenin and inositol. So I think it's 5 things at night. And then I also take a Deplin, which is a because I'm deficient in something. What is it?
Empathy, feelings.
yeah. I'm deficient in. Gosh, how am I forgetting this? Anyway, it'll come to
Vitamin
me.
D.
Nope. So in the morning, I'm taking omega-3.
Okay.
I'm taking zinc, which zinc was problematic for me. Maybe not, it's like zinc something or other. Zinc something that starts with a P. So I take gosh, apparently maybe I need to take those picolinate. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm taking zinc, omega-3. I'm taking Tongat Ali, Fugacia, something. So those are 2 like hormonal, like testosterone improving things.
Okay.
Or Fedosia something. Fedosia arresti, I think it's called. And I think those. And then I take a vitamin D, which is probably redundant with Athletic Greens, and a multivitamin, which is probably redundant. And then after workout, I'll take protein, a whey protein supplement, and that with creatine monohydrate in it. And so the only 2 things I'm not taking are the 2, and I bought them from Momentous. It was like $250 for all of that. It'll last about a month and a half roughly, because some are 30 days, some are 60 days. But I was able to get on the full regimen. I feel great. I don't have any side effects or anything in like less than 3 weeks. So I just kept adding. I'm like, you know what? I didn't feel anything yesterday, and then I'd usually wait a day or 2. And so I haven't had any side effects at all. So I feel like they're all functioning. So I got the finger prick blood test thing. It's called like isophonics or something like that. Phonix isophonics blood test. It's an X, not a C. What's it called? I left my phone somewhere else.
Oh, that's not what I wanted at all.
Anyway, so I'll let you know if that works.
And what time are you, like, how much sleep are you getting? Yeah.
So I've been going to bed at like 9:30 or 10
Oh.
and sleep until like 7. So I've been getting 9 to 10 hours a night. It's been amazing. Doing that on purpose because I've been freaking killing myself, And then, I'm just now starting to see like some more energy in the gym. The first couple of weeks, I mean, you guys saw the Rivian videos on death's doorstep, making that transition. But I feel great. The cool thing about is like your shoulders, knees, hips, like joints. Like I don't have any like inflammation there, or have the same inflammation I had.
Let's see. Mickey says, "You are the truth, Matt." Thank you for the Evo videos. Good, I got a new Evo fan.
Yeah, Evo's back. Just got it back today.
Today.
We'll be back on the Evo here.
What was being done to it?
We're doing the dry ice cleaning, and then Scott decided he wanted to paint all the fender wells and all that underbody stuff after we removed the goop that was underneath. It looks freaking fantastic. So now we got to finish up the intake and do a couple other things. We got to do the timing belt, and then I'm going to hold off on suspension wheels, and I'm going to drive it around for a little while and then do that stuff.
Justin Curry says, perhaps it's the new electric pool heater causing the high electric bill. Maybe.
Yeah, it's got to be a contributor to it, but it's not heating very much at the moment because it's hot out.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Jeff C says, I'm that rinseless guy. I do wheels and fender wells like you, then pressure rinse. Instead of foaming on soap, I spray on rinseless, then wash and dry. Done in under 45 minutes. No rinse after or blower needed.
Yeah, I don't like that hybrid approach.
Is that what Kyle does? Something similar?
Yeah.
Let's see. Dean Borisov says, which Bilthamber product do you use against rusty brake discs?
Atomac.
Anthony Palumbo, our buddy up in Jacksonville, says, love this conversation, going back to the cabinets. As I plan for upgraded cabinets for the garage, getting rid of the cheap stuff, having a tough time deciding cost to upgrade, benefit, and range I'll land on.
I mean, fit and finish is hands down Sonic MSS Plus. Significant expense. Fit, finish, no question. Especially for all of us and what we do in our garage. I mean, it's made for dealership, so it's plenty adequate. If you want full, functionality, and I think, no, I've seen Rousseau 25 times. I recommend Pan considered, we together when we were at SEMA. I said, hey, you need to talk to these Rousseau guys. They, speak the same language as you and all that. They're in your town. It makes sense. Rousseau, I think, is a little bit more expensive from what we can tell than Lista. So it's going to be up there. But if we want full custom, it'd be amazing.
Speaking of which, Philippe says Pan the Organizer has some good videos on Rousseau products.
Yeah.
And then VR4Joe says Rousseau cabinet owners also have popcorn ceilings.
That's our guy. What's up, Joe? I won't come after you this week. You caught me on the wrong day. Somebody's got to be the subject of the rant. Actually, Pan made a video on the pressure washer guns. And it frustrates me often that people don't, can you believe he's charging $250? I'm responsible for the short gun. So I told the story, and I commented on the channel and told them, here's the history of all this stuff. You have to understand where this came from, and understand that that gun that you're seeing there is not built to a price point, right? It's built specifically. So let me tell you the backstory of why. First of all, why don't pressure washers come with a short gun? And then here's the story behind the SGS-28, the Active, all these different guns, the goofy Aqua line that everybody buys. They don't know they're buying the wrong one. When I told MTM that you don't want to bring that here because it's way worse than your SGS-28, it's going to mess up your sales there. But I kind of told the story of the short gun and how it's quick disconnects and the Mosmatic wand and wands in general in detailing was not a thing. And so I know the story behind it because I freaking wrote the story.
All right, LR says, I just rewatched your video about the GT4 oil change, and you didn't mention the oil change light reset procedure at all. Do you have an OBD2 scan tool you can recommend to reset that?
Yeah, you have to get, the only one I found that works is the POR 2, P-O-R Roman numeral 2. You get it on Amazon. It's an iCar Soft. I think it's like $200. It's freaking junk. But it's the only thing I found that, unless you get a Durametric, and I never liked the Durametric tool. You got to use a PC, and it's freaking clunky. So that iCar Soft one works. Most of the generic ones won't do it.
Got a super chat here from Donnie Tomko, $5 US. Any update on the ETA for vacuum hose reels? Got the vacuum, just waiting on the reel to get this party started. Donnie, I sent a message to Ted and Drew both to look into that order, so I'll see if I can get you an answer and email you. Philippe says, I already did that one, sorry. Christian Farmer says, I'm still here for a second drawing to take that GT3 RS away from Will.
It's
sorry.
Gone.
Yeah, he got it. Let's see.
I think we're the best in the game in the giveaway business.
He had it within a week.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
That was
yeah.
impressive. Mike Bellows says, I am new to the E92 platform. Came from an F80.
Mm-hmm.
Does the E92 M3 mid-pipe have both the primary and secondary cats as part of it? The F80 mid-pipe just had the secondary. Thanks.
Yes. Yeah, so a lot of the X-pipes would remove the secondary cat, but some of the better ones will remove both primary and secondary. And you want to make sure when you do an E92, first off, no frickin' valves. Never add valves to a car. Like if it doesn't have valves, you don't want valves. Even if it has valves, you want to try to get rid of the valves if you can. So valves, you don't want. Valves are annoying. Valves are useless. Valves are stupid. You definitely don't want to add valves to an E92. There's no reason for it. The only reason you would need it is if the exhaust sucked and wasn't done properly and it would can drone. But it's kind of hard to make an E92 drone. You have to be really dumb to make that happen. So on an E92, you need to get a mid-pipe with quad resonators. So you're going to delete the primary and secondary cats. If you want to keep the primary ones, you can, but I would suggest deleting both. You'll gain 35 horsepower from doing this, and throttle response and a bunch of other advantages. So when you're doing the mid pipe, I think the one to get is it's one of the two big brands. It's MagnaFlow. It's either MagnaFlow or the other one that makes the quad resonated one. If you could find an old Dynon one, that'd be amazing. But you want to make sure you get 4 resonators in there. If you don't, it's going to be raspy and annoying and terrible. Ask me how I know. And then rear section, again, no valves. I think the best regular rear section, despite the fact that it's kind of weird and it only comes out of one of the pipes, is the Dynon. So you do a MagnaFlow center section, and then you do the Dynon rear section. In a perfect world, if you're willing to do the headers, you want to do the full ARH setup, but that's a big project. But yeah, no valves, no frickin' valves, no IPE, no Army tricks, no Taiwanese nonsense. You don't want any of that crap. People are nuts. There's all kinds of YouTube videos. 90% of the YouTube videos, the reason why they're making those videos is because they got it for free, and they're charging you $10,000 for a garbage exhaust. It's just shiny pipes welded together, and then they try to make it look cool. Titanium. You don't want titanium. The Acura exhaust sucks on that car. It's the worst exhaust on the car. Horrible. And that's like the other 50% of the people have the Acura exhaust. It sounds like if you're like 77 years old, maybe you might like it, but the Acura is terrible on that car. So don't get sucked into spending $7,500 on that junk. Ask me how I know that one. I finally gave in, and I said, maybe I'm just wrong. Maybe the Akrapovich is the way to go. Maybe that's the way to go. And it's freaking terrible. It's horrible. You must just stay stock with the little things cut out, where they cut it open, and is better than that.
Stephen Kokasi says, any updates on having an all-in-one solution for mounting the pressure washer hose reel spotless to 16-inch studs? Some type of metal plate or something.
Yeah, I have about 25 different drawings. I've got 6 or 8 different prototypes I've had over the years. I just don't like it. It just doesn't, none of them really look very good. We may work on something with the OG deionization system, but it just looks so darn good the way we have it that when you start to bolt it all together, it gets weird looking.
All right, going back to your list of cabinets at NASA, Jake in the chat says, I work at that funny 4-letter agency, and in one of our new labs last week for a tour, I noticed a list of cabinets.
Yes, you would.
They seemed meh.
Yeah, they're very boring. That's why I like them. They're just built for, to be worked on.
Tom Tarn says, does Griot's have any game changer products? Kind of like how Beadmaker was one of a kind.
Yeah, I think their interior cleaner is the best. We were trying to reverse engineer it. Don't tell them. I told them that. The other product that I think is a game changer is the polish. What's it called? The
finishing?
Fast correcting cream. Sure. Yeah. And then in the entry level, their polishers are the best entry level. They're not rip-offs. They're like their own design. They're not some just janked, version of a, of a Rupes.
Daniel Cortez wants to know, do you guys have any plans to be present in Mexico? It's really frustrating. We can't get any of the good stuff down here. I really like your content.
No. It's also dicey to ship anywhere south of, the U.S. border. Shipping to Brazil, like most, like DHLs of the world, they all suggest that we not do that because products don't make it, or don't make it as often. I don't think so. The difficulty there is, getting things to get there without getting lost, because we're on the hook for it. That's the tricky part.
Yeah, and Daniel, I just noticed this week we had a couple orders that were shipped to Laredo, and basically kind of a freight forwarding thing that they have, kind of like our Canadian buddies have them all along the border. They have those in Mexico as well. So we found some customers that's the way they prefer to do it because they have a better chance of getting them.
Yeah.
Living Life says, being a newer Inside the Hex member, how often can I expect to see videos posted?
Whenever I feel like it. Usually once a week or so, on average.
And there's one, I think there's one either today or tomorrow, like you said, that's going up.
Yeah.
Sweet Spot 909 wants to know, what's the best wax for a car? I want to make it look like the shine at an auto show.
It was Swiss Vax products are great for waxing. I like the old tried and true Colinite 845. We have it in the store. So you would do a layer of Jesscar. Gosh, my freaking brain is not wide. Maybe I need to get on these nootropics or something.
Zinc in your life.
Yeah. Powerlock Plus. Jesscar Powerlock Plus topped with 2 coats of Colinite 845.
Brad says, hey, Matt, the dealership sprayed some crap on my new 230's windshield. I've tried every glass cleaner but can't get it off. What's the next step here? Dawn dish soap? LOL.
No, I mean, I'd probably polish it. Just grab a microfiber cutting pad and some sort of, like polish, and that'll take it off. That's what I would do.
DBB says, love you guys. Oh, that's sweet. That's very nice. Thanks for all that you do. Any tricks for keeping spiders out of the garage? Ooh.
I mean, I think you just have to you have to sweep them off, and because most spiders aren't susceptible to bug, insecticides, because they're not like crawling on the ground. They're up off their bodies are up off the ground. So I think that's why you see like all the bug people, they kind of cruise around with that little Swiffer looking thingy, that little ball. So I think you just have to try to seal up any holes, and then insulate any holes, and then you have to just wipe them.
RAF or RAF says, is there a way to order the long neck Nano box with accessories but without the Nano? A fire burned the box with the accessories, but the Nano was saved as it was not in the box.
I don't think so. Shoot, I've given 10 of those boxes away. I wish I would have had one for you. In fact, I think Kate might have one in her room that I might be able to steal for you. Let me look and see if she still has that. I don't have all the stuff for it, though. It's like all the foam inlay and all that's probably what he wants. Probably wants it to look nice and clean. But yeah, I always throw those boxes away. I wonder if I have the one in Helen. I think I threw that away too.
Nate Trout has an important question here. He says, when zebra cakes are gone, what's the alternative?
Yeah, what do we say? Nutty Buddies?
Nutty Buddy.
Yeah. Those are a good tasty treat.
George or Jorge says, hey, Matt, just got my 02 Mustang GT back from the body shop after an accident, and they dry wiped it to hell.
Oh, boy.
Needs another detail.
Yeah.
I hate body shops.
You'd think the people who are the paint experts would know something about paint, but they don't. They're still using 3M Trizact. They're using the 3M system. Yeah, they just don't. They don't know what's going on. 99.5% of them.
Senna Nelson says, my super chat keeps bugging out. Says I already own the item. Weird. Anyway, first time watching live. I love the show and all the content you all make. Thanks for everything you do. Love y'all. Ooh, that's 2 loves. That's good. Tom wants to know, have you tried Active Shortgun?
So that's part of the story. So when we were helping develop and working with James and Jude, is it Jude, I think? We were working with them at Active to sort of explain, here's what I think we need for the Active 2.0. We were also working on a gun, and so I told them what I would like the gun to be. I mean, my hands are reasonably sort of a little above average in size, maybe average in size, and so I found that all the guns were a little too tall. Like the handle was a little too big. And I just don't like the result. I don't like how it came. It's too much money. Like for the quality of gun that is, I think it needs to be like $35, but I think their manufacturing costs are too high. So what is it? It's like $60 or $70. You'd be much better off buying the SGS 28. So I'm not carrying the Active. I don't think it's good enough. So I think they need to. I think they need to go back to the drawing board, because that goofy head on the thing looks goofy. It's too bulky. It's too big, and it's $80. You could get a MTM SGS 28 for $73. It's way better. Like much better. But you can see my, recommendations to them there was that you do equal length threads, so that way you can have the quick disconnect that goes and butts all the way up, and then you have a swivel that's integrated. But it's not. I mean, if you're comparing, like even the MTM swivel is hot garbage in comparison to the Mosmatic. I mean, Mosmatic makes swivels. That's what they do. Mosmatic doesn't even make the gun. They are in partnership, like a 100-year relationship with Suttner, and so the Mosmatic gun is built to their spec by Suttner, and then they put their their swivel inside of it. So the active gun, the nonsense you see, who's that, McKillians or whatever, the people, like, why do people? This is what drives me crazy, is that unless somebody comes out with something great, and I'll tell you when. You don't need to abandon the old. So everybody's always looking for that secret thing. Like, that's the whole thing with the garbage draft pressure washers and stuff. It's built by, a Chinese, theft company. They're just trying to steal your money. They're trying to take your money. Not stealing your money, but they're making a company. Eventually the warranties are going to become too much of an issue, and they're going to disappear. And everybody will say, whatever. They'll just write it off and disappear because there's no one to talk to. Like I posted in the Facebook group, I got a letter from them saying, hey, we want to partner with you. But it was, ChatGPT created, sincerely marketing team. Whose marketing team? It's nonsense. Who's Draft Tools? Who is it? Who are you? Think of any company that you buy stuff from. Like, can you figure out, like, who are they? Like, who's Blender Bottle? I bet you there's some human behind the story of Blender Bottle. Now, it may have been sold. It may no longer be the same. The original founder's probably not a part of it. But even who's Apple? Tim Cook, Johnny Ives. Who's Steve Jobs? Who's Microsoft? Who's behind? You think of, when you think of GE, who do you think of? Jack Welch. You think of humans. Henry Ford. You think of companies that have somebody behind. Obsessed Garage, me, Griot's Garage, Adams Polishes, Barry Maguire. You think of the humans behind the product. You may not know who the Rupes, who the family was behind it, but you probably know some people that are behind the product and manufacturing the product. Who is Giraffe? Who is Sunjo? Who are these people? I think we all know the answer to that. They're just trying to separate people from their money. The other one is the Ava in Norway or whatever he's all excited about. It's the same thing. It's the same old story. Big Boy out of Australia, all that stuff. It's the same old nonsense. There's nothing wrong with international manufacturing, Chinese manufacturing, Taiwanese manufacturing in Thailand, in Chile. I shouldn't say it's in Chile, in Brazil, in Canada, in Mexico. There's precision all over the world. There's Germany and Switzerland and obviously certain areas of the world are known for certain things. There's nothing wrong with that, but there is something wrong with nonsense. Fake. Don't give me frickin' fake. And I can spot fake in a millisecond. McKillians. It's some dude who's buying some garbage Chinese thing and trying to sell it to you. It's nonsense. I never even heard of this, but I saw everybody talking about it on Pan's video. That's a Chinese catalog item nonsense piece of garbage. Both foam cannon and gun. And now he's making his own gun. He doesn't know anything about it. Why would you make a terrible version of an MTM that already exists? That's just stupid. Makes no, what are you doing? Why would anybody buy that?
I'm going to sign you up on the wait list.
It's terrible. Now, there's the advantage he has. There's a guy behind that, from what I can tell. The problem is the guy doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know. That thing is, look, I can tell. I can spot it immediately. It's complete garbage. His little holder is kind of nifty. That's kind of interesting. I like that. But Or like I just saw Carbon Collective came out with one. There's nothing new about it. Like, you didn't improve anything. You didn't make anything better. That's my argument for the OG spec gun. Now, the reason the OG spec gun is $300 is because it costs a freaking fortune to make because it's something remarkably different. Look at that. Freaking nonsense. That hose reel is the worst hose. That's the very first hose reel I got, right? Straight off the boat from China. It was rusted right out of the box. Complete garbage. It's a reason why I would never recommend. So like, why are people looking for something that already exists? Just get the MTM SGS-28 or the SG-28. It's so much better than that garbage. And why are you supporting Chinese IP theft? Because that's a direct infringement on MTM's patents. But they can't do anything about it because who are they going to sue? Because there is no Giraffe tools. There is no, whoever McKillian's is buying that crap from. It's a Alibaba Chinese garbage catalog item where people are trying to separate you from their money. We have a 50% margin on the OG spec gun. What do you think the margin is on that Chinese junk, that knockoff? That thing probably costs $6 to make. And so that guy, selling that garbage probably has a 75% margin. If he doesn't, he's making a huge mistake. So selling that, and then people are like, well, it's only $35 and it does the same thing. No, it doesn't. Give me a break. A Kia does the same thing as a Porsche. Your crappy, what phone do you have, does the same thing as my iPhone? Get out of here. Nonsense.
It ran the warehouse last week all by itself. We had no internet. Thank me for that later.
Yeah. A Mitsushino is the same thing as a BMW. Get out of here. It's nonsense.
What's a Mitsushino? All right. There you go. I had some people enjoying your rant there. They were waiting for that. Had to wait a little later than expected. Sorry, everyone. Matt, what are your thoughts on the Cree CRT series 4-inch versus 6-inch? And if 6 inches, what lumen / same around the house or vary depending on room?
Yeah, it does vary. I generally choose the higher lumen outputs of the 1600 lumen. 4-inch looks a little sleeker, a little more modern. It depends on what you can't put a 4-inch in a 6-inch hole. So if you have a 6-inch can, you're going to have to do the 6-inch retrofit. The 6 inches have more output. The 6-inch looks a little bulkier, but I generally buy the 1600 lumens and then I put a dimmer on it. So I'm generally going to buy the higher lumen output. That way I have control. I can go up above. And if you do a Lutron dimmer, you can sort of set it to where when you turn it on, it goes to like, say, 80%. But then you have some headroom if for some reason you wanted to make it brighter, like you drop your contact on the ground or something like that, or you're trying to, I don't know, you have a bunch of people over and you're doing a puzzle, maybe you want some more or less light or something like that. But I tend to prefer the higher lumen output. If you're not going to put a dimmer in, I mean, the 800 lumen stuff is more than adequate, depending on how many lights. It's also dependent on how many lights you have. If you don't have a lot of lights in the room, you may want to juice it up a little bit with some 1200 or 1600 lumen. There is a pretty, at one point I'd put all three in the room at the same time to see if I could notice a difference, and you definitely can. 1600 has quite a bit more output. It's a little too bright most of the time at full brightness if you don't have a dimmer. So if you don't have a dimmer, you don't want to do a dimmer, then you're going to probably want to do either the 1200 or 800.
Chad wants to know, should I get a Viper fan or an Ego fan? I have the Ego blower, plan to get an Ego mower, trimmer, etc. Garage isn't painted, and Swiss Trax isn't down yet, but planning to. We have a new townhome.
I mean, if you're doing it fixed on the wall, then Viper. If you're going to do it portable and you're going to move it around, then definitely Ego.
Super Chat, $9.99 for our buddy Spencer. Matt, I'm going to be switching all my Rupes to cordless machines for the shop. Rumor has it that Milwaukee or Rupes will be releasing a new polisher here soon. Curious as if you have any insight.
No insight, but I guarantee you, SEMA, they'll be launching. So I wouldn't think Milwaukee would be launching a new 5 or 6 inch. So I think if they did something, it'd be a 3 inch. But I haven't heard anything. I think I probably would have heard if they had something, but who knows? Maybe not. Rupes definitely has a 5 inch. I mean, I don't have it. They won't confirm it, but everybody gives you the wink. We all know that a 5 inch, but the 3 inch is kind of a disappointment in comparison to, say, that Mirka. But I think you want the Milwaukee, the Mirka, and then the Rupes Nano, and you'll be ready to go. I would suspect, based on the 3 inch, that I think the Milwaukee's probably still going to be better.
Speaking of that, Patrick says, any plans to offer the Mirka cordless rotary polisher?
Yeah, they should be here any day, so we're waiting on it.
It was a July delivery date. Now the last we heard was August 28th,
yeah,
which is Not this coming Monday, but the following Monday. They're hoping to ship it to us on that day. Brad, our buddy Brad out west, says, Chris, Matt is going to the Helen home the day we leave. Wife and I would like to leave him a gift. Any ideas? He loves bourbon. That's what I heard. Email me, Brad. I'll think of some good suggestions for you. He claims he doesn't like gifts, but I know a couple things he would like.
You see my Cedia trip? I'm going to Cedia,
Yeah,
Chris.
I saw
I'm
that.
pumped. Literally my entire life, I wanted to go to Cedia. Since I was probably 17 or whenever they started. I think Cedia, it was maybe under a different name back then, but I wanted to go to CES and Cedia.
CD is like audio SEMA.
Yeah,
sort of thing.
It's the higher end / it's the integrators version. So it's the more the industry version of electronics. So like distributed audio, home automation, lighting, all that kind of stuff. So it's stuff that more pro. It's for pros than like consumers. The CES, the Consumer Electronics Show.
You're gonna fit right in with that crowd.
Oh
right there,
yeah,
right there.
I'm gonna be freaking sweet, dude. I'm gonna be owning that place. It'd be great. It'd be so much fun. Taking my camera, going by myself. I'm gonna be running around like a crazy person.
Yeah. So if you're going to Cedia, email Matt. Maybe he'll meet up with you. Did I miss any updates on the potential Helen meet? Yes, you did. What did we say? September 30th.
That's what we're thinking, yeah.
Possible. Hi, dealing with a lot of hard water here in the north of France. The best coating, period, is Gion Mose Evo. Awesome product.
I don't know about period, but it's good.
Jack Hay says, will any other wheels go on the Interlagos E92?
I did buy a set of the Euroconnects Avant-Garde like Flow Forge version of the stock 359M wheels. They're 19 by 10, 19 by 11, and a more aggressive offset. I think it's like a plus 25 offset or something like that. I'm going to try those and see if they fit and see if I like how they fit. If they don't, I'll sell them. But other than that, no, I like the stock look. I've been down that road a lot, and I keep coming back to the best setup, which is stock.
Back to that windshield thing for just a second. The dealer sprayed crap on the windshield.
Mm-hmm.
Should have clarified it's on the inside. Could also just be off-gassing since it's a new car. Any recommendations for getting off?
Inside, probably do use a razor blade like the tinter would. So you'd spray with like invisible glass, or even better would be like Angel Wax Vision, and you'd kind of razor blade it out, like window tinters would.
Steven wants to know if I can't afford a full wall mount solution just yet. Can I buy parts or pieces of the solution individually, and will it come out costing the same as if I bought it all at once?
Yep. All of our packages are the summation of the individual a la carte items. I have this thing, like, I don't understand. I would have to do like 10 times more work to build a package. Why would you discount it? That's so stupid. Like companies that do that, it makes no sense. If anything, you should get a discount for buying the individual pieces, not the package. It's so dumb. I mean, I understand the volume argument, but I have to do so much more work.
Anthony Russo says, are there any plans to make an OG branded pressure washer? I see that a bunch of other sites have stolen your ideas with pressure washer setup. Does it bother you that no one will credit you?
Yeah, of course. It's freaking nonsense. Yeah, I'm going to own that and make everybody look stupid at some point someday, and then they'll have to buy it from me. That's the goal. The goal is to build a wholesaling program to where if people are going to copy, they're not going to have a choice. They can either buy some knockoff, cheap version, which is easy to sell against, or they have to buy it from me. So that's my long-term plan, is that, go either I manufacture myself. If I can't do better than the best, then what we would do is I would share the ideas and I would negotiate for exclusivity and have them sign NDAs, and then I'm going to sort of own the product. So my vision would be to go kind of like we did with Mosmatic, go to Mosmatic, and then it's our product. And I'll be able to have those negotiations now that we have track records, and so the plan would be, okay, this is the Obsessed Garage Krenzla pressure washer, whatever the new version, the K1322. This is the best designed pressure washer on the planet, and then I'm going to buy all of them, so I'm the sole distribution for it, and I have exclusivity on it, but it's not exclusive. I'll sell to and other retailers that are additive. Right? I have many competitors that I may not, we're in direct competition. Technically, the rag company, we're in direct competition, in direct competition with Esoteric, but I don't think anyone would argue that Esoteric isn't a significant value add to the marketplace. Carzilla, significant value add. Obsessed Car Detailing or Obsessed Car, Obsessed products out of I think he's in Ontario. Maybe he's in Winnipeg. Certainly an additive, to certainly Carbon Collective, an additive company to. We're in direct competition. But the Chicago Auto Pros and Car Supplies Warehouse, certainly very additive to the marketplace. Detailed Image at the time was a real significant contributor to content and information. Detailer's Domain, was making all kinds of journal posts and all kinds of providing all kinds of additive information to the marketplace. And so what I would like to do in the future is, rather than me just going to a company and say, hey, like with the SGS 28, here's the formula. So I got on the phone with Rob and Mike and was complaining that Mosmatic couldn't supply me with enough guns. We need to make a gun that has all stainless internals, has a swivel integrated or a swivel attached, and has stainless screws. I even picked the frickin' color of the darn thing. I couldn't commit to it because we were too early on, and I liked the Mosmatic gun was still better, and so I was going to have to buy millions of dollars of Mosmatic guns or MTM guns in order to be able to garner exclusivity. And then the problem with exclusivity is then the product never takes off because you need all those forces. You need all those other companies I mentioned to come together, to be talking about the product and making the product known and available. This is always my argument to Esoteric with like Kamikaze, is that if you hoard it, it doesn't take off like it could, and we didn't see eye to eye on that. But like I said, no one would argue that Jason and the team at Chicago Auto Pros isn't providing significant value to the marketplace. So I would like to be able to provide, my expertise is in certain things, their expertise is in certain things. I buy products from the Rag Company. I'm buying products from Bradley at Armor Supply. I'm buying products from, Active and, companies. We partnered with Perfect Detail USA to help, because I didn't want to make my own. I didn't want to try to steal it from them. I wanted to say, hey, can you make it for us? And we sort of came to the conclusion it was better for us to partner on this. We have more buying power, so we could, probably manufacture it for a less cost. So the future hope is that rather than me giving up my ideas like I've done to this point, because I didn't have the ability to garner exclusivity or to build a network, the plan would be to buy it all and then sell it to what you would normally classify as my competitors. Then the advantage is I'll be able to select who's going to be who's going to add and who's going to just take from the pie. I'm looking for companies that have their own pie, that are creating their own pie. And so that's the future, I think, of Obsessed Garage and manufacturing, and that, like my deionization system, if we come out with the best thing that's available, I want to be able to build it so there's enough margin to sell it to all those companies I mentioned. And not all of them will. I don't know if I could convince, an Esoteric to buy something from me, but they probably should if it's the best product. And so, and try to talk to the Rag Company and talk them into buying that from me. Hey, I've tried to convince, Krenzler, let's take the 1322 and let me wholesale that, to people. And that way I can get compensated for the ideas and the information. And so that way when I come up with something like the next pressure washing system, I'll be able to get compensated for the ideas and to make sure that those ideas are shared properly. And of course we'll get knocked off with cheap junk, but that's like the McKillians of the world. That's easy to talk about. That's easy to disclaim because they don't know what they're doing. They're just copying something that they've seen that they don't know anything about. That's where I think the future of the business is. But in the beginning, I had no idea that any of this was viable. I didn't think anybody would buy a $3,000 pressure washer. I thought I was the only idiot that would do that. Well, we're all idiots. And the reason why is because it's fantastic.
All right, a couple more questions, and we'll wrap things up here. Cars JR wants to know, are you going to SEMA this year?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Ben Finner, curious, would the fear of driving completely disappear if someone had identical controls in the passenger seat ready to take over?
Oh, probably not, because I had a Tesla, which was kind of similar to that. I thought about it, though, believe me.
B8 Addict wants to know, have you tried the Griot's hybrid micro polisher?
Yes. So everybody keeps asking. I don't know why you guys are so interested in that thing. It's $400. It's a Chinese made, $400. But look, it's pretty well designed. It's got some unique features like swivel head. It has the digital display on it. The batteries seem, mediocre, but they seem, reasonable. But everybody, I understand where everybody's coming from. Everybody wants to have a hybrid polisher where you can do 2-inch, 1-inch, 2-inch, 3-inch. I know you have it in your head that's going to be the solution. That's going to be the solve. But it's a horrible 1-inch and a terrible, even worse 3-inch, right? Because it's like when I talk about LED lights. So you have an LED light and it's color selectable. So it doesn't do well at 2700, doesn't do at 5000, and does even worse when you try to blend it and do 3 or 4000 Kelvin. You want a dedicated chip that's designed to produce 5K or 3K or 3500. You don't want hybrids, in most cases. That's going back to our Andrew Huberman discussion. He's not a big fan of multi. So there's a lot of combination units. When you're taking supplementation, you want L-carnitine. You don't want L-carnitine, vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin J. You don't want it all mixed together. It's the same thing with a polisher. So if you notice that thing, it's too big for a 1-inch and it's too weak for a 3-inch. So and I get what you're saying. Well, man, I can save a lot of money. Well, you're going to have a tool that doesn't function very well at either. It's not bad. The Flex PXE80 is the direct competitor to it. I mean, if you're using the Flex PXE80 in 3-inch mode, it's terrible. And then 1-inch, it's too big. The only reason I have the Flex PXE80 PXE80 is for that darn rope thing, so I can polish underneath my door handles, and that's not even great at that. So, I love my friends at Griot's. I understand why they do it. They're going to sell a boatload of these things. But if you're looking for my advice, I don't like hybrids. You're going to be better served having a dedicated 1-inch. And right now, the Rupes Nano is the best dedicated 1-inch. Has its flaws, but it's the best version. And the best 3-inch polisher, hands down, cordless, is the Mirka. The best 3-inch polisher overall is the Flex XFE12. No question. Rupes is okay, but the Flex corded machine is the best, 3-inch machine. The Griot's G13, the 3-inch machine, is great. I would much rather have the Griot's G13 and just not have a 1-inch than the hybrid polisher. It's just because of the head size. It's not that the tool's bad. It's that the hybridization of a tool is not your best choice. It's trying to do too much. That's my advice.
Super chat, $9.99 from our buddy Martin, Alligator Customs. Going back to the whole soapy water, not glass cleaner, to blade glass. It will have better lubrication and less risk of scratching the glass. Also change the blade frequently so it's always fresh. 1 or 2 spurts of Dawn and a 750 press-all will do the trick.
There you go. Auto Obsessed. That's who I was thinking. I think his name is Tim.
Auto Obsessed and
I should know his
Edmonton.
freaking name. I've messed it up. I think it's Tim at Auto Obsessed.
Thanks, B8 Addict. Berksay says the gnome makes him nervous. It makes a lot of us nervous. Tom Tarn.
Where is it?
You never know.
Oh Lord, I'm gonna smash that thing soon. We're gonna smash it on the give next month.
I'm surprised we only have one. I thought you'd earn 2 by now with everything you bought.
I don't know what the summer, the fall promos are gonna be. I'm excited.
Tom says, I always had an idea to sew a synthetic chamois in between 2 gauntlet towels for drying. Do you think that would work?
Oh, chamois he's talking
Chamois.
about.
Okay.
So a synthetic chamois between 2 towels.
2 gauntlet towels for drying.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is I think the microfiber would supersede the chamois. So I think that the microfiber is going to pull the water and moisture out of the chamois. Especially if it's a 70-30, the polyamide is very, very absorbent. So my wager is that if you did that, if you took a chamois and a towel and you touched them to each other, the towel's going to win as far as absorbency is concerned. I think the only way that would work is if you had a really crappy microfiber towel, like a Costco 9010 or something like that. That might work because the chamois would be more absorbent than the microfiber. But even then, that synthetic, plastic microfiber filament is pretty darn absorbent.
All right, last one from our buddy Brad here. Has the Porsche for Helen arrived yet?
It's arrived to the dealership, but the dealership has to hang on to it because they were purchased. So they have to hang on to it for a couple of weeks so we can process the paperwork because they have a new computer system. So I probably won't get it until, let's say, first week of September, and then I've got several weeks of getting it dialed in. So it probably won't be there until I get there, September 20. The hope is I can take it up there September 28th.
That's being optimistic there.
Yeah, I got to get the exhaust, the brakes, all that stuff done. PPF.
All right. So thank you all for tuning in. We appreciate it. We'll be back next week around 2 o'clock.
It wasn't my fault. There's the police. The policeman said I needed to be there. You heard it. See you guys.